Every airport runway is covered in markings, but to the trained eye of a pilot, those markings are more than just paint on pavement. They guide pilots visually during taxi, takeoff, and landing, when precision matters the most. However you arrive at the runway, these markings help you quickly understand what you're looking at. In this video, we're breaking down runway markings, what each marking is, what it is telling you, and how to use that information in real-world flight operations. You don't want to just memorize markings. You need to understand what the runway is telling you as a pilot. Before we begin, make sure you like this video and subscribe for more aviation tips and insights from Epic Flight Academy. Let's get started.
My name is Ray Altmann and I'm the Chief Flight Instructor at Epic Flight Academy. The runway markings are either lights or painting on the actual surface that are going to identify key features of that runway, such as the runway number or the heading of the runway, declared distances for landing, boundaries, such as the sideline boundaries or even the threshold boundaries. It will let a pilot know what you can and cannot do. It will let you know if you can land on a specific part of the runway or only take off on a specific part of the runway. So long story short, they really tell the pilot a lot.
Runway markings are a standardized visual language designed to communicate critical airport information to pilots quickly and clearly. They provide guidance on runway orientation, alignment, and usable surface, while helping pilots judge distance, height, speed, and position during approach, landing, and rollout. Their design is based on human factors, visibility, and contrast principles with FAA and ICAO standards ensuring consistency and safety across airports worldwide.
So standardization is very important. Just like on the roads of the United States, a stop sign, no matter what part of the United States you're in, should look the same. Speed limit signs and markings on the actual roads are very similar. The idea is the same for airports. You don't want to be going to a different airport and they have a totally different system of markings and it's confusing and can lead to dangerous conditions. So the FAA has standardized it across the entire United States airspace.
Runway number markings show the general compass direction the runway is pointing, helping pilots quickly confirm they are aligned with the correct runway as they approach to land. The numbers represent the runway heading rounded to the nearest 10 degrees and are painted in large white characters for high visibility. On airports with parallel runways, additional letter designations distinguish left, right, or center runways to prevent confusion and incorrect runway alignment during approach for a landing. Runway centerline markings are white dashed lines that run the full length of the runway and provide continuous alignment guidance. Pilots use the centerline to maintain directional control during takeoff, landing, and rollout, especially in low visibility or at night. When paired with runway centerline lights, these markings help ensure precise tracking and reduce the risk of runway excursions. Aiming point markings are the large white rectangular blocks that indicate where pilots should aim during a stabilized approach. The 1,000-foot markers are positioned a fixed distance from the threshold to help pilots judge height, distance, and expected float before touchdown. Together, these markings provide a consistent visual reference to support accurate approach planning and touchdown performance. Touchdown zone markings provide distance and vertical path cues within the first portion of the runway where landing normally occurs. These markings appear as white rectangular stripes arranged in pairs and indicate distance in 500-foot increments from the threshold. They are most prominent on precision runways and help pilots confirm proper glide path and available landing distance during instrument and visual approaches. Threshold markings identify the beginning of the runway available for landing and are displayed as white longitudinal stripes across the runway surface. In some cases, the threshold is displaced, meaning the pavement before it may be used for taxi, takeoff, or rollout, but not for landing. Displaced thresholds are marked with arrows and a relocated threshold bar to clearly show where landing may begin. Threshold lighting provides additional visual identification of the runway threshold during nighttime or low visibility operations. Green threshold lights mark the beginning of the landing surface and help pilots distinguish the runway from surrounding terrain or taxiways. These lights work in coordination with runway markings to reinforce proper runway identification on final approach. Runway edge markings are solid white lines that define the lateral boundaries of the runway and help pilots judge width and alignment. runway shoulders are marked with yellow lines to indicate pavement that is not intended to support aircraft operations. Together, these markings clearly separate usable runway surface from adjacent areas and reduce the risk of veering off the runway. Closed runway markings indicate that a runway or taxiway is not available for aircraft operations. A large white X marks a closed runway, while a yellow X is used for closed taxiways or temporary closures. These markings remove ambiguity and help prevent pilots from inadvertently entering unsafe or restricted areas. Runway holding position markers show pilots where to stop before entering or crossing a runway. They consist of 2 solid and 2 dashed yellow lines, with the solid lines in the taxi side indicating where the aircraft must hold short. These markings are critical for runway incursion prevention and are always reinforced by signage and air traffic control instructions. Taxiway markings guide aircraft safely between runways, ramps, and parking areas that must be followed precisely. The taxiway centerline is a solid yellow line that provides directional guidance, while enhanced taxiway centerlines use dashed lines to alert pilots they are approaching a runway. Taxiway edge markings define pavement boundaries and help prevent aircraft from entering unsafe or non-load-bearing surfaces. ILS critical area markings protect sensitive instrument landing system signals during instrument flight operations. These ladder-style yellow markings indicate areas where aircraft must hold to avoid signal interference, especially in low visibility conditions. Adhering to these markings helps ensure accurate guidance for aircraft conducting precision approaches. Precision and non-precision runway markings differ based on the type of approach the runway supports. Precision runways include additional markings such as touchdown zone markings, aiming points, and enhanced centerline features to support instrument approaches. Non-precision runways use fewer markings, relying primarily on runway numbers, centerline, and threshold markings to provide essential visual guidance. Visual approach guidance systems help pilots maintain the correct glide path and alignment during approach. Systems such as PAPI and VASI use red and white light combinations to indicate whether the aircraft is above, below, or on the proper descent path. These visual cues support stabilized approaches and reduce the risk of landing short or long, especially during visual conditions. Approach and runway lighting systems support pilots as they transition from instrument references to visual cues. Systems such as approach lighting, runway end identifier lights, and runway edge and centerline lights help define the runway environment, especially at night or in reduced visibility. These lights work together with runway markings to improve depth perception, alignment, and situational awareness during landing and rollout. Airport diagrams and charts help pilots understand how runway markings fit into the larger airport layout. These resources show runway orientation, length, width, and the location of markings relative to taxiways and other airport features. Reviewing charts before arrival or departure allows pilots to anticipate runway markings and make informed decisions in the cockpit. To understand why runway markings matter beyond training and check rides, it helps to look at real-world accidents where runway misidentification and surface confusion had serious consequences. There are several well-documented aviation accidents that demonstrate the consequences of misinterpreting runway markings and airport layout. Air Canada Flight 759 narrowly avoided disaster in 2017 when the crew lined up with a taxiway instead of the assigned runway at night, while Comair Flight 5191 crashed in 2006 after departing from the wrong, shorter runway due to runway misidentification. The fatal collision involving Scandinavian Airlines System Flight 686 further underscores how incorrect taxi routing, combined with poor runway and signage awareness, can lead to catastrophic outcomes.
So one of the biggest challenges, especially in experienced pilots, is complacency. We get comfortable with what we're doing after thousands of hours, and you might get a runway assignment that you miss here, and you might line up for the wrong runway. So having those multiple checks along the way of confirming that you're at the appropriate runway based on the clearance, and then visually looking at the runway as you're getting closer, can prevent taxiway or runway incursions or wrong surface landings, which can result in, ultimately injuries or death.
Learning how to read runway markings is a foundational skill developed early in flight training. Pilots use runway numbers, thresholds, centerlines, distance markers, and lighting systems together to build situational awareness during taxi, takeoff, and landing. Mastery of these markings improves safety, efficiency, and confidence in both visual and instrument operations.
So every time you approach a runway, the first thing I would want someone to remember is to make sure you're cleared to cross that whole short line, and make sure you're looking at that identifier of where you are in the airport to make that a call to either the local traffic area frequency or the tower controller. Look at the signs, and it's always better to stop and think versus do and then make a mistake, because those mistakes can be dangerous.
Thanks for watching. If you learned something new while watching, hit the like button. It lets us know you are enjoying our content. Also, if you are interested in becoming a pilot and beginning a career in aviation, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel for even more aviation tips and insights from Epic Flight Academy.